husband, father, certified life coach, motivational speaker. Lester Young holds a number of titles. Another that might be surprising to some, convicted murderer. And after serving more than 20 years in prison, he's garnered a few more titles, including author, entrepreneur, and community advocate. Young has created programs and classes to mentor fellow inmates and now uses that same material to help provide formerly incarcerated individuals with life skills needed for success. This is A Seat at the Table.
My dad used to come to prison to visit me like every Saturday and Sunday. And he would always, as soon as I walk into the visitation room, he would have a Bible on the table. And he would read these to me, and he would always tell me, like, son, you have to find something greater to believe in, and you have to use this as an opportunity for change. "180 seconds was just 3 minutes that this bullet was released, a dispute took place, and a bullet was shot into a car. And a person left in that 180 seconds, and that 180 seconds someone died. And I look at that now, like that 180 seconds is what I was judged for, and I was sentenced to life for, and I get it. I do understand that. In our society, we never look at what happened before the 180 seconds. There's so many things that transpired in my life and the life of thousands of people who have been captured in that 180 seconds that we send them to prison, but we never really take the time to understand, like, what was the buildup? At 16 years old, my mom's passed away. All of a sudden, like, she was there one day, and then the next day she passed away. I didn't process that well. I lived from 16 to about my early 20s with so much guilt that I didn't release that pain. It turned into a lot of anger. It just went from anger to living with nothing to live for. I remember just being in shootouts and was not afraid to die.
We read about you and all the things that you did to help people who are also incarcerated and to speak life into young people and say, hey, your choices can have a lifelong effect. When did that transition, I would say, kind of happen for you?
I was struggling with that, like struggling with, I killed somebody over drugs, like, and I had no one I could talk to. One particular is that one night, I remember watching a show on Dateline, and it was about a family who had lost a loved one very similar to the crime how I committed my crime. And I heard this mother for like the first time, like really living with such deep anguish and pain from that loss. And I remember like sitting in my cell, and I just started crying. And maybe about an hour later, something just woke me up and told me to pray. And I practice the Islamic faith. So I remember washing up for prayer, and I remember falling on the floor in my cell praying. And it's like something just happened. It's almost like the spirit of the person entered into my cell. God allowed me to have this spiritual moment with this individual. And I remember apologizing, because part of healing was that you had to find a way to amend relationships and apologize and atone and all of that stuff. And a person's not physically there. So it was like my moment, and God like put it on my heart, like, speak to him, don't speak to me. So I remember promising, I'm gonna do everything as long as I have life in my body to honor your soul. Path of Redemption was a vision that God gave me while I was in prison. So I found that every individual in prison was searching for redemption. They needed a path to redemption, and that path to redemption was connecting them to a purpose, helping them heal from the things that created that situation. When I was able to connect that and help individuals discover that purpose, it became easy to say, hey, I'm now living a path to redemption.
We need all of you to stand up and encourage individuals to vote. Ban the box, and I heard, ban the box, ban the box, ban the box.
When a company or a business choose to employ somebody who has a felony conviction, you didn't just hire him. That person has an entire family and that person goes back in that community. Now he or she is spending money in that community. So now you add an economic value. When you employ and you give people opportunity for housing and rehabilitation programs, you're changing an entire community. So these were things that was able to help me. And that's what I'm saying. When you give a person those opportunities, support after incarceration or felony conviction, you change lives with that. One of the things that really inspired me when I was in prison is to see someone who was once in prison come back, or to be able to read about someone who have gotten out of prison, have done something positive. That changed my life and it gave me hope. I want to travel to every prison in South Carolina and even the Department of Juvenile Justice to be able to find ways to give back. I feel like I have to continue to live and do these things so that we can continue to change this system by inspiring people to let them know it's possible. That a person who was convicted of murder, sold drugs, reading at 7th grade level education, could walk out of prison after 22 years and be able to create this type of momentum and change a narrative. Imagine if we were able to inspire 100 more Lesters like me